So the first thing is to act on the agenda.
I'd like to add just continued discussion on the possibility of the new 10-wheeler.
Yeah.
Where are you adding that to?
Highways and garage, right?
Oh, okay.
Don't we have to do a warning a month ahead of when we want to discuss roads again, like Israel Road, or should we just wait?
No, it needs to go on the agenda. And once you're ready to either look at just that one or some others also, then we warn a public hearing, because then you have to do the site visit.
Well, I'm kind of curious where we're going with it, so I mean, I don't mind putting it on the agenda. I'm not vehement either way.
Do you want to add it to this agenda?
If other people think that we should.
So that's all business, right?
Yeah.
And just that road?
Well, I think because you have to do a warning. Remember,
No,
we
no,
have
no,
to,
but
we
I'm
have to do
saying-
a warning a month.
Put it
Yeah,
on-
I would just say that road.
Put it on there as road declassification.
Yeah.
That's what we were
yeah.
talking about in this fall.
Well, we agreed to revisit that
Right,
situation.
right.
And we have to warn it a month ahead of time, I think, so.
Make a motion to accept the agenda as amended.
A second.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Act on the minutes.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment.
I don't really have much, but just because we're talking truck, does the town of Andover, I brought it up before, but have we ever thought about taking some of the property we have and starting a quarry or something for the municipality, and only for the municipality, to get SurePack, road material, everything? We have property that we might as well use it. Just throw it on there as an idea. Because we're going to keep going farther and farther for material.
Yes.
Longevity, that's what I'm thinking.
I did mention that, I think, at one of the meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that entails like a study on the property or what that entails myself. It was just something I threw out there when we were talking about sand and gravel, I think. I can't remember when I mentioned it, but
You mean like a Act 250 type environmental study of property?
I don't know. I don't even know what it would
Like-
take if you were to look at the properties that the town owns for the purpose of turning them into a quarry or being able to pull materials off them. What that would look like, or even what, I mean, you've got neighbors to consider, there's a lot of things you have to
Yeah.
consider that come along with
I
that.
think we talked that day too about that. Didn't one of the local people try to get something like that going in Chester somewhere, and people got all-
Municipalities have less hoops to jump through if they're not selling it.
Oh, okay.
There's a huge difference between selling it and using it for
I
just
get
a
you, I get you.
municipality.
And in Andover and Chester, we're one of the only towns in the state that if you do it 10 acres and under, you don't have to go through Act 250.
Oh, you don't have to. 10 acres and under.
Yeah, zoning is 10 acres and less.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's good. And 10 acres can buy you a lot of time if you got the right
Yeah,
material.
but it's gotta be a property, you have to subdivide 10 acres off to
Yeah,
do it.
yeah. But like out Boone Road, there's no neighbors. You're out in the middle of nowhere.
How much
There's
property is out there?
What's that?
I think there's 300 or 400
Did you say
acres.
Boom?
out there. Boom.
Boone.
Boone.
Right by the golf course.
Oh, okay.
It's quite a big chunk.
Yeah,
like
it's
300.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
It's at least a couple hundred.
Well, you want to do it before the golf course gets sold to somebody.
I mean,
That doesn't matter. That doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's a road.
What they're
It's a-
saying is if
even though
you're
you're not
under 10
active
acres,
50,
nobody can really.
even though you're not Act 250, you're still gonna have standards. Like, I'm pretty sure when I was in the business in Chester, you could only do like 3 blasts a year, and they could only be so big.
Right.
And you had to warn everybody around you. And when I mean blast, the ground just goes. It's not like
Right, right.
now. So something to look into.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
It's If you guys ever want prices on drilling and blasting and all that stuff, I can get you prices from a bunch of them, so.
Cause then you drill and blast and then hire somebody coming with a
Right.
portable crusher and crush it right on site.
Yeah, but like riprap and stuff, it's all there, you're getting everything. You can scrape
But would you
right
have to
down
do
the sand.
my question is, does a study need to be put in place to make sure that that material is even available there?
Well, you have to,
You know, I don't really know that
Yeah.
much about it, although I
you
do
have
know
to hire
people we
somebody
could
like Brian
ask. but-
Rapinati or.
To walk around and say, okay, if you're gonna do that, do it over on those 10 acres.
They do the same, they just do a soil study.
Soil
Yeah,
test,
to
right.
see what's there.
But if you got a big rock face or whatever, that's what you want, you want ledge.
Right.
Yeah, that's what to get out of the ground if we want to do it.
Yeah. But you own the ground already.
Right, so
And
you're
so
not,
it's like,
you're using your own, right.
and if you set it up right, you could literally do 10 acres and then do one, or less than 10 acres and then do another piece in that same area. Less than 10 acres and just keep jumping.
And they have to be subdivided, so you'd have to subdivide the 9.9 acres off.
Yeah,
And then,
you gotta have a lot that's less than
Yeah.
10 acres.
Yep.
and then if you worked like, just hypothetically from one property line, let's say, and the abutting landowner wouldn't maybe want that when it's done. Because I mean, if it's mined,
But if you got 300 acres and
Yeah.
you can get a piece in the center of that,
yeah,
you're surrounded by yourself.
there's not a lot out there. Like you
There's
said,
nothing
there's
out
not. That's
There's nothing out
if
there.
the soil, if it was ideal, I mean, that would be the spot for it. There's a road in place and.
Plus it'd give you area to, if you do come across sand or whatever, you got a place you can dump it and stockpile it. You can
Yep.
buy it cheap. I mean, we don't have anywhere here.
Yeah.
So it's just, we own the land.
And we started talking about it. I think we discussed it and then brought it to the table because it was post flood. It was the what if we had that readily available and didn't have to go outsource it somewhere.
You'd still
You could get it whenever you want, as much of it as you had.
But you would, instead of that, you'd be going to FEMA and saying, hey, you owe us more money for our material.
Right.
Instead of buying it and then having the worry to pay that person you're buying it from. You're just gonna be sitting on material you already own. It's just a thought. Like town of Allstead's done it, in New Hampshire, Grafton, they're talking about doing it. Just
I'd be
because
curious
it's so
as to-
far.
But I want to also make sure that things went out to bid, that we were looking at.
Oh, that stuff would have to.
Because-
Yeah, that he's just saying like the first step, like in the direction of the
But
possibility.
even that, even those steps, the people that would be looking into it, you'd have to be able to get there. I know there's a road there.
Yeah, but it would be all that process because if it's subdivided, every landowner around would get a notice,
Yeah,
just like
that's
any
not-
other
that's not-
subdivision. Everybody would know what's going on. There would be
They could
the
sit
purpose
down
of
and
it.
fight you,
Yep.
but if you're just you can't ever sell anything. It's only for town. I know that. So
Well, I go through enough of it.
just a thought.
Your business. No. Everything's in garage. And that truck. And you get $75,000 for the old one.
How much?
75.
That's not bad
No,
for the year, man. That's good.
I thought that was
Good money.
a fair trade. I really did. But that goes down the longer you wait. It's not you only get that if you order a new truck right away.
What's a new one?
$275.
Ooh.
It's trade for $200,000.
Yeah. Trade and 200.
That's another automatic.
Nope.
No,
Good.
18 speed.
And what is the brand? Did they come up with something that they prefer after talking to different?
No.
No.
The same green beast.
Yeah.
On the transmission.
And he did, like we said before, research with other towns on the landscape and the hills that it climbs and what it does. So
And all our guys know how to drive a standard,
Yeah.
Everybody is able to drive it, all three.
aren't we lucky?
Mm-hmm.
I too.
Did he say, he said it was under a year though, right? If it was ordered, it wouldn't take as long as we originally thought.
And you
How
bumped
long
it
is
up
it?
further.
What's that?
You bumped it up further because they have a problem getting, after June, they have a problem getting the 18-speed transmission.
Oh,
So they bumped it up. Moved Rose Road down because they're getting 10-speed. They didn't get that later, supposedly.
oh.
It's all salesman pitch, you know. But so we should have it by June or so. And headed for Viking anyway.
So if we were to
So-
order it, go ahead. Richard.
No, I just assumption would be ready for next winter.
Yeah.
Not to haul sand next summer if needed, but to plow.
But it would be ready.
Should
Should be ready by
be
June.
with no holdup, no unforeseen holdup. It should be
October,
ready.
November, so.
But we know how that goes. It happened with that Dodge. It got held up for a little while because of something after the truck went through. It was a couple weeks. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong vehicle, but you never know. Some part for the outfit could be held up.
And so does this price include the outfitting it?
Yeah.
Okay. And there's no,
156 for the bare truck.
Yeah, I don't have it printed out.
105 of price of the upfit.
upfit, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Central hydraulic.
Yeah.
Plow.
And
Wing.
Main body.
you were previously asking about warranty, and it lists out the 4-year engine warranty, or sorry, engine 4 warranty is 7 years or 150,000 miles, and then the basic warranty is up to 100,000 miles.
And how many miles, because this is all new to me, how many miles do they usually put on in a year, or is that just really dependent on the
Depends
year?
on what happens, but this one's got 100,000 on it.
Yeah.
And that's,
It's more than they usually have, he said.
Yeah.
They don't usually hit 100,000, not with the municipalities trucks.
Okay.
Not here.
And that's a 16?
Yeah.
16.
16.
It's due.
That's good.
That's 8 years.
Yeah.
I mean, best case scenario, you get 8 years out of a new one. I mean, that's would be ideal. But they're going to get more miles on them with sand.
Right.
Back to the previous discussion, sand's going to be
That's
farther
right.
away and more expensive, so it's going to make sense to have them haul it. So that truck's going to be used even more than.
if we wanted to pinch it, though, we probably could do it without the engine warranty.
You think so?
We didn't do it on Charlie's truck.
Yeah.
Because they tell you that they've only ever had, they had hundreds of them out there, they've only had to work on 2 of them, I think. 0.
Yeah.
They just, they almost throw the $6,000 away.
So you think that we shouldn't add the engine warranty,
The extended one.
the extended?
No, we did it, but
It's 6,000, correct?
Price out an engine just to see what one costs. But
yeah. If something
I have
happens,
a
it blows
feeling it's
out.
more
if
than
it's 80
6,000.
grand or something like that, go with the 6,000 warranty.
Right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
If it blows up, you lost money.
But the initial warranty is for 7 years on the engine.
No, those are the extended warranty costs. I don't have the factory warranty.
So what is, you don't know?
I don't have it on this piece of paper, but I'm sure Charlie can get that. He just got this today, right? I think he
Yeah.
just got this through today.
So those numbers are for the extended warranty. Just bear with me because I'm going to keep asking you over and over till I get it in my head. At 6,000,
64.65 for the extra engine, 4,060 for the extended for the rest of the truck. The engine goes to 150,000 and the other one is to 100,000. So it's a combined price of keep shutting off.
10 grand.
10, yeah, just over
an extra
10, which is
You get some warranty on the engine, but you want to extend
Yeah.
it.
Right.
But I remember on Charlie's truck, it wasn't much different.
Did you guys talk about too so it actually, the money is due when the truck is delivered?
Yeah.
and we spoke that the first payment is the trade.
And that's for a year.
I think, yeah, but I don't, then
we're
the
thinking.
payment doesn't stay 75,000 a year, right?
Didn't it go down to 63 or something?
We'd have to, he'd have to adjust because that number's a little different because we
Right.
were looking at that demo truck
But
before.
if we like ordered this thing tomorrow, then the truck that we have becomes the first payment.
And it stays in use until that
Then,
truck
that was
is
my
ready.
question. So when that truck is ready, we show up with our truck and they say, great, here's the new truck, take this as our first year's payment,
Right, you don't know anything for another year.
and then we don't owe anything for another year.
And if something happens to before the trade-in, it's fine, they just still honor that price?
Well, we need a truck, so we'd have to either
Fix it.
fix it,
Right.
rent one, or have somebody else do our trucking, which would be expensive. Or, this is, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
or hope to get the other one.
Right.
Um,
I think if something happened to that truck, we'd have to fix it.
I would, you,
That would,
correct.
we'd have to fix
Would be
it.
the-
It'd be
We'd
no-
fix it, keep using it, and then trade it in still, after we fixed it. Because we'd be out of luck otherwise.
Yeah.
Because we can't be without a truck,
Right, right.
by the sounds of it.
It's just, I don't know.
I know.
Rent someone else,
How
have someone else.
catastrophic
Am I
a thing
correct
could
in that?
happen
I know.
in between, that's all.
And then my other question is just the extended warranty, just because I'm thinking about the warranties. See, to me, 10,000 for the extended warranty doesn't sound like a bad idea. But the factory warranty, we don't know what that is.
correct. I'm not going to speak which way I
Right.
prefer because I don't know what the factory is. If it's 1 year and 1 year, I would say the extended warranty is the way to
Oh,
go.
absolutely.
If
But not
it's
knowing.
3 and 5 years, it would be worth discussing further.
And so what is the, so we're talking about this because we've talked about it a little bit before. So what are you thinking, time-wise? What is everybody thinking about this?
But
Well, you're not gonna get on it.
I would say it's time to start moving on it.
So is there any way we can figure out? I guess we don't need to know.
Well, we can
The extended
get more
warranty versus
information
the
on
warranty
that
because-
and have Charlie come next meeting and make a decision then after everybody gets the further information. Like I said, he just got that today. So.
Yeah, so why don't we do that? Why don't I move that we have Charlie come to the next meeting with all the kind of final information that we need. Anybody second that?
I'll second it.
along.
There's a little bit of me that, do we need him to come to the next
Well,
meeting?
he's saying he could bring the final numbers, like about the warranties and the factory warranty
Right.
and all that stuff.
Yeah, so I guess I would want to know that. So,
And he does a lot of phone calls, emails to get to this information. So he's, like I said, he's gathered a lot of information and they drive the trucks. So he knows everything about what they don't like about that one that they have now and what they would like to do different. One of the small things was the 5500 has a camera on the headboard, and that's for safe for those guys and time. They can look at how the sand's rolling out of the body rather than stop and see, is it hung up or is it empty?
Oh, right.
It's just another thing. I mean, if that adds up, and it's a safer thing for them. They don't have to climb up in the truck that time.
Or am I misunderstanding the timing here and you wanted to make a decision on this today?
I'm not ready to make a decision, but I would like to keep moving forward on it. And
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
I agree to move
Yeah, if we
forward.
need it, we need it.
Okay, so then I moved to have Charlie come next meeting, bring the final stuff.
Yeah.
You seconded it.
Gather as much, if we can ask him to gather as much information as he can on this.
Yeah, I'd like
so
to
that
see what the standard warranty is on the engine and stuff.
Yeah.
Is-
I agree.
Right,
Yeah.
I would too.
I have a good feeling it's not worth it.
yeah. You have a feeling that the standard warranty is not worth it, or the
Extended warranty.
extended
Extended.
warranty is not worth it? Yeah, I'd be interested to see what that,
Yeah, and I'll try to get those numbers from him before, and with financing it, we can see what that extended warranty is actually going to cost over the
Okay.
duration too, because it's not going to be just the 10, because you're going to pay on it.
right,
Yeah, it's another 10,000
what's
that's
the interest,
borrowed.
also, all the
Yeah.
logistics.
Be one thing if it was paid for in full right away, but so perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you can ask Charlie to move forward and see what we,
And have it on the agenda for next time.
sounds good.
Old business, school meetings and budget administration.
Everybody looks at me.
Yeah.
Andover is now on Two Rivers board.
Is it?
You are a representative?
Why, thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
I'm excited.
Nice.
More meetings,
Did Rick step down?
more meetings.
Yeah, more.
Yeah. Was it Rick? I thought so. I just wanted to make sure I was figuring out who's on all these boards.
All 4 towns are on this
Yeah.
board, but Chester's actually the alternate now.
Okay.
It's because we have one alternate. So if I call in, they step in.
Okay.
The alternate is at every meeting. So, but we have a
Nice.
seat.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for pushing for that.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
sticking around and
We got it.
keeping in there.
No, let's just keep
Yeah.
it.
Right?
And you wanted to clarify that the meeting is all budget,
All budget.
All budget.
28th. So
that dual meeting you were speaking about before.
it wasn't supposed to be all budget, but now it's all budget. So you can still listen in. It'd be good too.
So this coming Thursday's meeting is all about the budget.
Our state rep is supposed to zoom in. I talked to her today.
Where was that one held?
Ludlow.
Ludlow, elementary.
Yeah, FEMA update.
I just have one more thing to add to that, and Scott might be able to shed some light. So the restructuring meetings, I've spoken to a lot of parents, and they have no idea what's going on about the possible restructuring of the schools, and something's going to happen. It's obvious. Just the summary, I went, myself and one other parent was there from Andover, no one else. They're talking 3 options, consolidating certain grades at Chester Andover and moving the other ones to Cavendish. So kids would come from Cavendish, let's say K through 3, goes to Cavendish, 4 through 6 at Chester Andover. But that means every kid in that district would go to that school, whether you're in Cavendish, Andover, Chester, or Baltimore.
And it was put on a it was a vote to see where everybody was standing.
And that seemed to be,
Bad for Andover.
When you mean,
they
What
did
is
a
that?
non-binding just to see where everybody's feelings were at the meeting. And everybody did not lean towards what, in my opinion, as a parent, made most sense in moving 6th grade to the high school. That is one of the other options. The other one seems in left field, moving district lines. Those are the 3 ideas. Consolidating grades, because Chester Andover is overpopulated. They have to do something about that. There's too many kids in that building. Something's gonna happen, and a lot of people don't know that they might live in the main street of Chester and their kids usually walk to school, and now they're gonna have to get on a bus and ride to Cavendish. I think that's a pretty crazy
And
idea.
that's going to cause transportation costs to go up, and busing's not guaranteed.
And I went on the record there that I'd pull my child out of the school because it's 17 miles each way from my door to
I've actually heard,
Cavendish.
I've heard a lot of.
So I think our numbers in Andover would drop by 25% instantly, if not more.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, who wants to drive 70 miles a day? Because I'm not putting my kid
I've
on a
heard that
bus
from
either.
people
So
in Chester that have said, I won't send my.
I've spoken to several parents in Andover, several in Chester, and most of them had no idea what was going on. And that was the second of many meetings. And nothing was decided, but more people need to speak up if they don't like it, because things are gonna
Do you
change. We
think
just
people
need to.
know that are in the school system? Do you think they realize that that's one of the options? Do you think they even know this is going on, these discussions?
It's warned, and everything is out, but just people have to come and speak. Like I said, myself and another Andover resident spoke up, but that was just
Right.
2 people.
That's all that was there.
Yep. They're gonna have a more public, we were only allowed a couple minutes each to talk, so.
That's changed now too.
Yep.
You have 5
I
minutes.
absolutely think 5 minutes is not enough either, but if there's 20 people there, 5 minutes is enough.
Right.
And even not people that don't have kids in the town, they need to speak up, because it's going to affect your taxes someday. Like Scott said, transportation costs are going to more than double. They have to. When you start having buses pass each other on 103 in the Gulf, headed both ways, loaded with kids each day, twice a day.
And busing is not guaranteed. It's not. Even though you pay the taxes, it's not guaranteed. So if they decide to say, hey, we don't have enough bus drivers, Andover's not going to get a bus, every parent's gonna have to drive their kid to Cavendish.
There was more concern at the meeting, in my opinion, about a couple teachers having to move schools than it was 40 plus kids having to move a school. Because that's minimal what's going to happen. There's 40 to 45 kids, if I remember right, that are in 6th grade.
And the biggest complaint for like 6th grade moving forward is the PCBs in the high school. Nobody wants to put their kids in with PCBs in high school.
Well, they're gonna do
They're
that at
gonna
some
be there
point
eventually
anyway.
anyway.
That's this.
I'm just telling you.
And the
I'm
other,
just the messenger.
So when
I was
you're-
one of the 3
and-
that voted to keep it, or to move 6th grade up.
which is
up
the
that
most
by doing
logical.
that. We were yanking 6th grade out of Cavendish, which is also bringing their numbers lower than they already are.
When you're hearing about the PCBs, is that from Chester residents, Andover residents, or Cavendish residents?
The PCBs, that's from the school.
When you're hearing about people not wanting to send their kids
That's
to.
from everybody.
It's everybody that is has 6th grade students. So it's,
I mean, I'm not saying that every person's nervous.
You're saying it's
about
a
it.
concern.
It's a concern that people don't.
They don't want to put them there
And also the
sooner
teachers
than they
don't
have
want
to.
it there. I mean, you go up to the school when it's 7 degrees outside, they have windows wide open. Because they're claiming it's the PCBs, but our furnace that's dying, it's burning 70 gallons an hour.
have they done a study recently
They've done all kinds of stuff.
on the PCBs?
Oh yeah, it's all over. You've seen them, haven't you? All the paperwork
Yeah.
is in.
Did the Cavendish
Is it
reps vote to, excuse me, did the Cavendish reps vote to bus to Chester back and forth?
it was not a vote. It needed to be very distinct, and it was a discussion to find where everybody was leaning, I guess. Nobody voted.
Yeah,
There was no vote.
But did Cavendish, are
They
people
have
in
a say in it,
Cavendish, do
yes,
they
but-
like the idea?
There was a couple people that want to put money into Chester Andover and add on. That was another thing that was discussed. They wanted to add on or put up.
Thing to do.
I think it's a waste of money when we have a school 2 miles up the road that these kids are going to go to,
Anyway,
and you want to let's put the $200,000 into that school rather than add on to. I'm just throwing a number out there because they need two classrooms.
Sent an email, right?
yeah.
They need 2 classrooms minimum. More.
Yeah, there's literally special ed
It's
being taught in a closet.
and it's not.
There's people on the auditorium trying to teach a math class and listening to basketballs in the gym bouncing. So the kids are just.
It's the only school out of our 3 schools that it's got too many kids. The other schools have not enough, pretty
Right.
much. Not saying that there's not enough, but when you're worried about pulling 1 grade out of Cavendish to keep the doors open and the lights on, that's a big thing. They want to, well, the other thing was maybe moving the district's pre-K there also, which is another crazy idea because it puts it on the far side of the
Right.
district.
But it's one of the only buildings that has room.
It is correct. Because the state might be moving forward that you have to have
A pre-K.
pre-K. So they're planning, looking in the future. But it's only one idea that makes sense in my mind, so that's why I'm going to keep attending, and I figure if Scott's not here, I'll try to update on what's going on, but the next meeting's the end of April. So, which if they go to add on to the school, you can bet that would be a bond, because
So that, well, no.
maybe,
There's because we lost the white trailer in the back, then FEMA came to us and said there's all kinds of FEMA money to extend, build on your school. So they went for what's called a grant. They went for that grant. There's a lot of hoops to jump through, but there's a possibility, 3 years down the road, they might extend onto that school. If not, then they probably have to get a bond.
So they haven't actually been accepted for a grant?
Oh no! It's
Did
a
they apply
long
for a
process. They've been looking into it for a while now.
and that property's only so big. They can only add on so much to that school, and they gotta add on the parking lot, because
But if they still
you're moving into the parking lot anyway you add on to that school.
If they still had the White House, would this be an issue? Or if they had a White House that was
It'd still
bigger?
be crowded, but we're not allowed to put another White House back there.
Because it was temporary from the beginning. That was only a temporary fix that became permanent, was what they said. Because they said it was working, why fix something that worked, but it was supposed to be temporary.
I remember when it came in.
Yeah.
My kids were in school.
I remember when kindergarten was at the high school because I was there.
But if you see any parents, I would encourage them to at least zoom in and listen. Or
Yeah, just listen. I mean,
actually, there was another parent spoke. That's right, there was 3. One person was on Zoom, but should be drawing a lot more attention. I thought I was going to be standing in the back when I got there, and there was one other person sitting there. It's a big change. I mean, even 6th grade moving up there, I'm not saying that's not a big change. It's a big change.
but what will happen, like we discussed, is nobody shows up for these meetings. Then we're going to make the decision, and then all of a sudden it's an uproar. You know,
Be better to.
we're trying to hear from the public. That's why I keep saying.
What's your general
Calm down.
consensus that they want to do?
If you went by how the vote went the other day, they're going to put half the students in Cavendish and half in.
And Chester representatives didn't go nuts against it. Wow.
Some
And
were for it, some were for it.
and what about the superintendent? Did they?
There's no say there.
No.
There's just she just gave information. She gave information that I thought was great. Like she said, you're sitting in a library.
I'm curious as to who was.
It's big enough for. She spoke that she was not recommending it whatsoever, but look everywhere you can. And we were sitting in a library that's the size of 2 or 2.5 classrooms.
3 classes.
And she said, you could fix the problem right here, but you're taking the library away. And she was very, very adamant about she was not recommending that, but you have to look at everything. Because if you got kids learning on a stage.
And if you rent another white building and throw it out back, even though you're not supposed to, it could flood.
Yeah, well, they could do landscaping to.
No, they can't.
Help with that.
The state won't let them. I can tell you that. Can't touch the rivers.
Or maybe put it in a different area. But I'm not here making those decisions.
No, I just wanted to make
Who-
sure everybody was, and there, like we said, it wasn't a vote, so it wasn't like we're gonna sit here and say which representative voted on what. But there was only, I believe, three people said they were leaning towards 6th grade moving to the high school, and that's not majority. That's for sure.
I'm pretty sure you can watch that whole meeting on Okemo Valley TV.
Because I'm curious as to what.
There was one person that said they would be up for the possibly moving the district lines. I mean, that somebody was for that idea just to see if that would make the numbers better for the schools.
Yeah.
But yeah, that meeting, I mean, it was an hour plus long. You could listen to the whole thing.
What's our enrollment? Do we know yet? What the
For the whole.
for next year?
For
Yeah,
total
like
school.
no, like kindergarten. What's the Chester Andover
I don't know.
kindergarten enrollment?
I can figure it
Is
out.
it up?
I have no idea.
I don't know when they start signing up, and I
They
know
haven't
that there's
started yet.
they haven't started yet. So
In
they
that
don't
email,
know.
it tells you how many are there.
Mhm.
That you sent, it has all grades, how many
By school.
students in each school.
Right.
And I don't have the minutes from the previous meeting, but it was discussed about what each school per pupil costs in
That's
Yeah.
in that.
that minutes from the meeting prior to that,
Well, it's in that PowerPoint.
It's all in
Yeah.
that PowerPoint. Yeah.
which shows you how much it costs more to run the other building.
Right.
And
Just seeing if I can pull it up real quick. So kindergarten is 26 in Chester Andover, 20 in Cavendish.
But we don't know what next
I don't
year's
know what's
enrollment
coming
is.
now. But total in Cavendish Elementary School is 80 kids, 236 in Chester Andover, 295 in the high school.
Only 295 total at the high school?
Yeah.
And the high schools can house, is that 300 something?
750.
7. I was gonna say, when I graduated, in 82, my graduating class was 70 people.
Yeah.
And every class below us was as big or bigger than that.
Yeah.
you know, in the 6 grades below, or the 5 grades below, or whatever. So you figure there was about 600 people going through that school right
Yeah,
then.
the school can hold twice. They moved the whole elementary school there. I mean, that's obvious that it can hold almost.
That's what I.
There is some, like we said, the amount because of the classrooms got changed
Right,
to different
right.
things. There's not quite as many, but there's room for a lot more than is there.
There's 46 seniors this year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
And if that kindergarten class stays in place, that's going to be in 12 years, 5 kids less, right? Wasn't that Cavendish like 42? And that's saying that those parents stick around for 12 more years that have those kids in kindergarten right now.
There's a recording with that too. You got that one too, I think. The email I sent with the superintendent telling you all about the budget.
Yes, I think so.
So, move on to FEMA update.
The only new update I have is I got Hilltop Road for signature today, but unfortunately it's not, I mean, that wasn't a ton of money, so we'll get back about $3,600. And that's it. Hector pretty much said the roads that have been sort of at phase 3, we're still at phase 3, and he didn't have any more updates last time we met with him on Thursday. They are switching over, so we heard from somebody from V-Trans that there was a shorter, more efficient form that hadn't been used thus far because no one at FEMA had been trained. Well, when we met with Hector Thursday, they started rolling out this more efficient form.
Yeah.
That's terrifying, Jenna. That is a terrifying sentence.
Well, but all it means is they've taken the thing that had 29 questions and they've made it 12 questions, but you still have to put all the same information just in fewer boxes. The only difference that I can see from our end is I don't have to upload them every single timesheet to justify time. I only need to have them in case we get audited.
That's better.
So I still have to fill out the spreadsheet. Uploading timesheets doesn't take any time though. So I mean, I still do the spreadsheet, which is where all the detail comes from. We still have to have the invoices. And so he still goes through all of those, but it sounds like what's more efficient is he's supposed to spend less time doing the sort of audit stuff that can happen anytime in the future if they decide something isn't right, which is fine because obviously we have the documentation. I wouldn't be filling out a spreadsheet if I didn't have it. So that's all well and good. It's just, so hopefully, I think probably, certainly it's in reaction to more towns finally starting to push their projects through and FEMA going, ooh, this is taking a really long time. So Hilltop Road, which will be $3,600, I submitted that to him on December 21st, just to give you an idea of the kind of timeline we're looking at. And this is just me signing off. It's gonna be another 4 to 6 weeks before we see money. So that's where we're at.
And Andover Western Road, we're looking at stats.
I did sign that grant agreement over a week ago, so I keep checking the bank account. So I'm ever so hopeful that in the next week or two we'll have that money, and that will be huge. That will be great to get that, because that's, as I said, $257,000. And if we can get them to get Lovejoy Brook Road finished through the pipeline, we're in pretty good shape, and I think we've given them all the stuff that they need, like all the real detailed environmental, do you have the this and this and that? So that'll be over 100,000, so.
And Schmidt Road's nowhere in the future because of the hydraulic study.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
one's just gonna
he
be
pushed
held up
it
for a
through
long
the
time.
environmental people, but without the hydraulic studies and because it's such a big project, they spend all the more time on it. I mean, Hilltop Road, I submitted in December and it's only $3,600 and this is how long it took. Schmidt Road at $230-something thousand. Next December.
We'll have a new truck by then.
Right. We'll have another flood by the time we get all of
Oh,
it.
jeez, say that.
Right? Yeah. Jesus, bro. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you, Jenna.
thank
I
you.
know.
Welcome.
You're working awful hard for that $3,600. I know you are.
God.
Road discontinuances. How do we want to proceed?
Well, we left it on the table in the fall as to whether we would continue, whether we would declassify it into a Class 4 road. And we did not move forward to it, partly in respect to the people who lived on it and being concerned about getting through in the winter, but we left it on the table. So I was just wondering if we wanted to pick it up again or not.
I think, didn't we also in that meeting say that we were gonna wait until sort of after mud season was done, and then we would sort of go back to that whole project as a whole, not just them, but wasn't that
through the winter maintenance months.
right, that once we were kind of out of that completely, then we would go back and revisit, because it was a list of different, right?
But that one in particular, I understood that we were going to declassify it. We were just giving them X amount of time.
I think we left it the way as more discussion, because we heard from
Right.
like you said, the people that live there. We heard from Charlie's recommendation as it's surrounded only by one landowner and it's 0.3 miles of
Right.
dead end road.
Yeah, because didn't we decide that we were gonna do it? It's just that we were gonna wait for the winter to be over.
I think I wasn't willing to vote to just stop. I remember that, to stop maintaining it right then. So I don't know if we had a definitive vote. I think we just kind of tabled it.
We only made the decisions on Markham Lane and Marsh Cross Road.
Yeah.
Because the other road was prior to that at another meeting,
Right.
the one off of Gates Road. Right, then we were looking at possibly other ones in the future.
Right.
More dead end, single resident roads.
Which I think is a very confusing subject, but it's something that we probably need to discuss. I wonder how we would, I think, for me, I feel like I would want more public input.
And we can only get as much public input as
we put
shows
on
up.
the agenda.
When we put out public hearings, they go in the paper. I mean, you can only, same with all of our other types of public hearings. So we give the information. It's just who comes and.
Well,
Right.
realistically, what you're gonna get for a road declassification question are the people who it impacts, right?
Right.
Correct.
People
Hopefully.
over on Gates Road
Are
aren't
not
gonna care
gonna-
if you all are considering declassifying
Right.
one resident roads.
And that's why it goes to every abutting landowner
landowners.
in a letter also.
Right, right.
But I understood with the Israel Road in particular, that we were going to come back to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we left
give
it as
them
everybody
time
was
to-
leaning towards what we wanted to do, but felt the winter months had come
Right.
approaching with
And so.
that it wasn't enough warning into the winter, as it had been plowed one time prior to the last meeting.
Right.
We had like that ridiculously
Weird
early
storm,
November, couple inches, and it had to be plowed.
So are what you're asking, Susan, are you asking if we are going to open that back up and take a look at it? Like
I was
we said?
asking
'Cause
if we
that's-
should warn, I mean, even if we warned it
I
now,
think
we
we
couldn't
already warned it
act.
though. It was already warned.
But we would have to warn it again if we were gonna put it on for we would still have to give the owners and anybody interested a month to, we wouldn't have to do another site visit because we already did it.
No, but I mean,
I don't know how that works. We've already done the site visit and the
warning.
I don't
and when we were in that meeting, Chris ended that meeting by saying to them,
tabling
Okay.
it.
that road is going to be changed, but we will give you, I remember you saying it, it's probably in the minutes somewhere.
It was tabled as the
It was
final
tabled,
term
right.
until the spring.
Until the spring, but that we'd sort of made the decision, and I think you didn't vote.
Yeah.
But we all
Okay.
said that road does need to go back to the landowner as being that you're gonna take care of it. But those people were very distressed, and we said, look, we don't wanna distress you in the beginning of winter, but just know that we are going to come back to this.
So I don't know whether we want to open it up to other roads. It seems to me that we could just start by discussing Israel Road, and maybe in the course of discussing that, we would come to some kind of consensus about looking at that other list. Or we could just say
but
we're
the
gonna
roads
look
are
at the other
done one
list.
at a time, right?
Yeah.
It's one at a time, so it's not
Why don't
like.
we just do why don't we just do Israel Road and see how that feels? I mean, I don't know.
So should we put this on the agenda for next meeting to discuss Israel Road, or are we going to discuss it right now, or do we need to warn it again for them?
I would
Because
say
feel like we had
two
warned it.
meetings from now would put you way out of winter months.
Yeah.
End of April. That
So-
way we don't get some late snowstorm.
right.
Mud season should be.
Because the one thing
The
Chris
roads
did
get
agree to-
unposted May 15th and it's usually dry long before those
Right.
posters have to come down.
So we don't want to make a decision, but just say it doesn't go
Well, that
into
gives them,
effect.
that gives a month. That 2 meetings from now is a month. And it gets us out of the
That's my
winter.
thought on it too.
What's that?
Get done with winter and then we'll go back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seems how.
because that's what we
just
agreed
got
to
30
at
inches
the
of snow.
beginning of the winter.
Then we would give them this winter, and then they would
Yes.
have to come up with another plan. That was,
That they have to come up with a
Right.
plan
They
to take
have
care
to,
of their
not
own
us.
road.
Right.
So it wasn't really, it's not that we need to redo it all
Okay.
and because the four of us did vote. I know
Okay.
you didn't, but I
Okay.
know that I voted to agree that they'd have this winter, but when the winter was done, and Chris said, when the winter season is done, then it's gonna go, it's
just
going.
looking up the minutes as
Well, that's
well.
not really what the minutes say though.
We
What did I say?
tabled it.
It was tabled.
It was
You didn't
tabled.
vote.
Nothing was voted. We tabled it
It was not
until the spring.
classified.
We tabled it until the spring.
Chris said it needed to be plowed because,
It had already been
he
stuck.
suggested the town plow it for the winter, as it has always been maintained that way in the past. Mr. Israel offered to bring it up to class 3 standards. Would we consider leaving it a class 3? And then it said, Melissa clarified the road has been maintained in the winter, whereas Markham Mountain Road had not, which is why they were being handled differently. Richard moved to table discussion about Israel Road's classification until spring. Melissa seconded, so moved. So you
Does-
tabled it.
So in your opinion, do we need to contact the do we need to contact
I think in
anybody?
good faith we should.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
think
Yeah,
that
we
would
have
be
to-
the right thing to
If it's been
do.
tabled.
Put it on the agenda and invite them back and say you're reopening the hearing. And again, start your conversation from square one and go back through the information that you have.
But we don't need to do another site visit.
No,
Yeah.
that part was taken care of. I mean, nothing has changed.
And from there we can go down the list.
So you want it on the agenda for the second meeting in April?
I agree with that.
And that would
Yeah.
give, and I'll send letters to the same folks, so they have plenty of
That would be
time to
great.
join us.
Sound good? I
Sounds
think
good.
that's good. End of April.
Does somebody want to make a motion to do
Yeah, I
that?
think we're. Because it was tabled, it would just add that to the agenda. Or as the
So
public
how
hearing.
do we decide if we want to pursue the conversation in general about other roads? Or do we need to even
Like
decide
Chris
that
said,
right now?
we can take that list back out, that meeting, and start looking, and then it's
Okay.
what you're talking about.
Okay.
A month warning, site visits,
Okay.
letters to all the budding landowners to that road. And seeing which
Like
ones.
we had done before.
And seeing
Same
which
idea.
ones,
Right.
really, like the ones we have discussed are just the ones that make sense, ones that we needed to because they weren't being used as class 3 roads anymore. Ones that had been historically used as class 4 roads but still were class 3.
And or weren't up to standards.
Correct, and that is the big Charlie and Chris
Right.
spoke about with Israel Road, the amount of money it would take to bring that to class 3 standards.
Right.
Is it even possible? Because one side's a bank that you're facing and the other side is steep.
Yeah.
It's 0.3 miles of dead end road. Just goes up and turns around and comes back down.
Right.
It doesn't connect anywhere. It's not a through road.
Well, I'm glad it's going back on the agenda.
Yeah, and the only one person owns all the land around it. It's
Right.
only one letter that has to get sent out. So
Do we want to add any other roads to that meeting? So we,
like Chris said, I think we would just
Just
look
do
at
one
the
at a
list of the roads
do it
again
that way.
and see if there's any to move forward on, right?
Yeah, that meeting.
Yeah.
okay.
That way we get through the rest of winter. Seems how it comes in March now.
heavily in March.
The financial orders.
You had it out, Scott?
Thank you, Scott.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
There are minutes from both of the meetings, so the special meeting that we did on Zoom, and then financial orders. And then, Chris, this is the financial plan for Megan, so we'll need a motion and signatures on this.
See those?
Were you on the email? Did you read through that?
This here? I didn't see it on the email, but
I mean, I usually leave it to her to come up with what, seeing what these are numbers.
these are the summer and winter maintenance numbers. The highways.
So basically what happens is Megan Brunk from V-Trans looks at our budget, looks at what we've spent in the past couple of years, particularly on highway expenses, and then she breaks out what they call it's just an official highway plan. So basically what they're trying to determine, and that everybody agrees to, is that the town has budgeted an adequate amount of money to maintain its roads. And so if we then need to ask for a grant for something, it's not because we've underfunded it.
Oh.
It's because it's above and beyond what we might do in a regular year. So if we needed a new box culvert somewhere, that it's above and beyond what we budgeted for, but we had budgeted to take good care of what we have.
You need a motion to accept that.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
My glasses this time.
Something.
Squinting doesn't work. Go. Oh, sorry.
Any correspondence?
There is actually. Jill Pond wrote a letter that I will read to you regarding her thoughts on short-term rentals. She said her understanding from town meeting was that the board was looking for people's input, so she wrote this letter as requested by you at town meeting. Any homeowner wishing to turn their owner unoccupied house into an STR should have that right, but should be required to obtain a specifically created conditional use permit from the zoning board or possibly a newly created permitted use permit for use of an already approved residential dwelling as an STR, based on an approved septic system and adequate parking only. In parentheses, sorry NIMBY neighbors, for a specific number of guests as determined by the septic system. This will necessitate a public hearing and vote on those changes to zoning laws, of course, but so be it. The specific house should then be registered with the town clerk as an STR, and whether it will be privately rented by the owner or managed by VRBO or Airbnb or a different property management business. Names and telephone numbers of owners and managers should be given to the town clerk. If there are any complaints from neighbors, they should contact the town constable, who would check contact information at the town office, and they or the town clerk will in turn contact the owner or manager to deal with the problem promptly. If neither can be reached and the situation is serious, the town constable should turn the matter over to the state police. The owner or manager would preferably live within a reasonable distance from the property and would be completely responsible for legitimate disturbances or for any damages incurred to their property or neighboring properties and any expenses incurred by the town resulting from the action of the renters. Just a suggestion, Jill Pond. And I had one more answer. So when we talked about making payments to both our district and the state, so we've talked about our budget being in the negative at the moment. Bank account is okay for the time being. We can make our district school payment. If we are late paying our $800,000 to the state, the penalty is $2,840. So it's 0.225 of 1% of the tax.
Is that just a one-time late fee if you're a day late, or does it occur?
It just says amount to forfeit if this payment is made after.
So just a one late fee?
Is it a one late fee per month, one late fee, consistent one late fee? Does it say anything like that? Or quarterly, or?
Late payments of the tax by a municipality to the state shall be assessed interest at a per diem, so per day rate of 8% per annum of the amount due. If a payment is more than 90 days overdue, any state funds due to the municipality shall be withheld. So if it gets to be 90 days, then we're gonna stop getting grant money.
But per diem, meaning?
Right, it says at a per day rate of 8%.
So 8% per day.
It says per annum of the amount due. 8% per year of the amount due. But they did the calculation here and it says the amount to forfeit if this payment is made after, this one was December 1st, is $2,840.
And what do we have right now to pay that?
This bill is $795,000.
And we have none of that money? Or we have some?
We have some of it, but we owe the school district, next week we owe the school district $495,000. So we have to pay that first, and after that, we have maybe half of this.
And we would get it from new taxes in July, or?
Well, it'll be late then. This is due June 1st.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, again, that $250,000 for Weston Andover Road is gonna be huge. But if this FEMA money doesn't come faster, it's not gonna get any better.
And would the penalty include not giving the homestead discount? That's to individual homeowners
It doesn't say
based on
anything
their
about that. They don't penalize the homeowners and then that's a credit to that's a credit on taxes. It's not actual money. So it doesn't sound, according to this paperwork, like it impacts taxpayers. It's up to the municipality to make the payment. I mean, we collected the taxes, so in turn, the state expects that money to go to them.
So I would say if that money, like we spoke on the special meeting, if it isn't here in 2 weeks, we start talking about looking other places for a larger than $100,000 loan.
And can we give Jeanette the approval that if it does come, that she pays this? Or do we need to?
It's not due till June 1st.
I
Right.
would urge you to wait until June 1st to pay it.
Because it
We
can
don't wanna pay
accrue
it early,
interest. But we're
Because
thinking
I can
ahead.
dump as much money in the bank. We have some very good interest rates because we have 10 bank accounts under one umbrella. So we get a lot of interest on those bank accounts. So I will keep as much money as possible in there to earn as much interest as possible for before June 1st. So
Maybe
that
come
will
up with
help.
a penalty if,
Well, what it is it'll just be added to what we owe. But yes, we wouldn't want it to go more than 90 days because then they'll start withholding our FEMA reimbursement money. And other things.
well, even
We
90
don't have
days is
any other
gonna
federal grants.
But it's not due until June 1st. So we have
Right.
just over 2 months.
So, I mean, theoretically, we'll have a couple more FEMA reimbursements by then. Howard Hill is $20-something thousand, so that will help.
Should we, prior to the June 1st, should we be looking into any type of other loan if needed? Just
That's what I'm saying. If that Andover Weston Road money isn't in the bank account by our next meeting, I would say we want to start talking about where we're going to look because it's a process. It's not overnight.
right.
So that would give from then just under 2 months till that payment is due. But if that Andover Weston Road money comes in, that would be in the bank.
Right.
So
Can we put that on the agenda right now to discuss this? If,
Do you have an idea of where we would go? Are there other, obviously the Vermont Bond Bank isn't gonna help us any more than they offer to. And would we have to go to just a private bank or are there other, we don't know.
I don't know.
that would be the.
We would ask
I would say that's
VLCT or I guess, and where, yeah.
I
We
can
could
say
reach-
that where we have the majority of our money, TD Bank, they don't do commercial loans like this for municipality. And in fact, when I asked them about it, he said, "Oh, I hear Vermont Bond Bank is doing this great program." Yeah, we heard that too.
I'm
But
not
we'd be
looking
sitting
at
in
it
this
right now,
having the same conversation if we took that $100,000 loan.
Yeah.
Because as soon as that money
It's
came
not
for
enough.
Andover
Yeah,
Weston
right.
Road,
That was a
we
good
would've had to pay
decision
it
not to
back.
take
Right.
that. I'm not.
That's the only reason why
If there were
I
more
stand behind
money,
that.
if we had more money.
Yeah, I'm
then it
not
would be a
implying in
different
any,
idea,
you
but-
guys did the right thing.
I will
by
reach
doing
out
that,
to a
yeah.
couple neighboring towns, some people that I know, and see, 'cause I know other towns have borrowed money through some other stream than the Vermont Bond Bank, because they already had borrowed money prior to the answers from that. And I have no idea if it's just a normal bank that does municipal commercial loans, but I'll see what I can
I can
find
look
out. I only have a
online, too.
couple places to reach out, but give an idea.
Chester's gonna know, cause they
Chester.
they routinely borrow money because of their upper end calendar year,
Okay, yeah,
so they always have to borrow money.
yeah, that's good to know. And
I'm hoping that's not the route we have to go, but
It's good to know. Wait, so, and asking if there are landowners that would be willing to pay their taxes early to help the town out, would that do any good? Because that money after July 1st is needed for the next,
Yeah, we're already at that point. The last
I mean,
tax
that's-
payment was due.
I mean, we might very well, do the same thing that we're doing now is the March money that we got is going to pay these. And so we're behind basically one round of tax payments. So certainly the money that's supposed to be here for August 15th for municipal expenditures could be used to pay bills retroactively. And then we just keep
Chasing around
right,
the tail.
that's
Just
exactly.
going in that same circle of whenever you're going to catch. I mean, I think it's going to possibly still come down to borrowing somewhere, but that revenue didn't make sense for that
this
amount.
is, a year ago, not a year ago, 6 months ago, you all talked about the possibility that it could impact the municipal tax rate, and this would be why it could do that. As far as the budget goes, our tax rate wouldn't need to go up that much, but if we're trying to raise more money to help us get through until we get this FEMA money all back,
That's An option too.
That's an option. And on that sobering thought,
Anyway,
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
a second.
There.
I don't think anybody.